Did you text him? Oh, okay, as you go. Okay, cool. Okay, no worries. As long as you get him. But he said all good for 7:30.
Has the power to inspire and unite people on the African continent.
Streaming data free on the MTN network in South Africa. We are Africa's premier sports destination. Live from Mission Control.
5, 4, we have a liftoff.
In Josie. Omnisport Breakfast with MKT and Kevin McCallum.
Welcome to it, sports fans. The Springboks are in Scotland. Dwayne Vermeulen and Ruan Nortje give us an insight into what's going on in the Bok camp at the moment. And is World Rugby about to lose all power along with its star players in 2026? Big news breaking there. And then it's Champions League week. Some incredible results last night. And one of the strangest interactions I've ever heard a journalist have with a manager. Really strange. If you want to hear what the Manchester United manager is in for with the British press, stay with us because we'll talk about that and we'll get to hear that very awkward interaction. Kev, what's going on?
Just awkwardness all around, particularly if you Bayer Leverkusen. You went to Anfield last night and lost 4-0. It was very strange to hear Xabi Alonso say Liverpool are the complete team, and then Virgil van Dijk said we're still a team in transition.
We'll hear from Virgil in a little bit. We will hear from Virgil in a little bit because, listen, for 4-0, it's the difference between, I guess, playing in the big time, which is the Premier League, versus the Bundesliga, the second best team in the Bundesliga. Nowhere near it in the Premier League. And it's a good reminder of exactly who is king on the planet. I won't like to hear it in Germany, but it is what it is. All right, before we get into that massive show, let's start off with our morning headlines. We'll start off with Manchester United. Man United fans were celebrating as hard as Sporting Lisbon fans last night after the Portuguese team walloped Man City 4-1 in the Champions League. United's new coach-elect Ruben Amorim will only take over at Old Trafford on November 11th. But this result will have filled desperate Red Devils fans with hope. Victor Gyökeres scored a hat-trick for Sporting after Phil Foden had put City ahead.
It was a night of shocks in the Champions League. Holders Real Madrid went down 3-1 to AC Milan on Tuesday, with striker Kylian Mbappe struggling yet again. In Glasgow, Nicholas Kuhn scored twice, and Rio Hatate, the other. Celtic came from behind to beat RB Leipzig 3-1. That's the green team.
It is the green team. Bayer Leverkusen coach and former Liverpool star Xabi Alonso described Liverpool as the complete team after the German champions were blown away in the second half, losing 4-0 at Anfield. Liverpool are now top of both the Premier League and Champions League tables after Luis Diaz scored a fine hat-trick and Cody Gakpo added to his own growing tally of goals.
Orlando Pirates entrenched their place as leaders of the Betway Premiership with a 1-0 win against Richards Bay at the Orlando Stadium last night. Evidence Machopa scored in the 26th minute as Pirates claimed their 7th consecutive win in the league this season. Pirates now have 21 points. Sundowns, who play Polokwane City tonight, are second with 15 points.
Kaizer Chiefs have issued an apology for the behavior of their fans after a pitch invasion and missile throwing by supporters after the 4-0 loss to Mamelodi Sundowns in the Carling Knockout Cup at the FNB Stadium on Saturday. It is reported that Chiefs are worried the PSL could not only fine them, but order them to play games behind closed doors. They were fined 3 times for the behavior of their supporters last season, paying over 150,000 smackaroos.
Wow, that's a pocket change. Scotland wing Darcy Graham will miss the test against South Africa this Sunday after he failed to pass head injury protocols following Scotland's 57-17 win against Fiji at the weekend. Graham suffered the head injury while scoring his 4th try of the game. Carl Rowe, the replacement back, will replace Graham if he can overcome his hamstring he picked up against Fiji. The Springboks will announce their team to play Scotland on Thursday.
Big news. Scotland, of course, as South Africans, and I think Now, probably the premier global team at the moment, with the All Blacks being where they are. The Springboks are in town. They're in Edinburgh. Loved seeing everything on social media yesterday. Let's get into it because it's a big show. Springboks. Let's hear what Ruan and Dwayne have to say. Let's get into Omnisport Breakfast.
Get on the air and join Africa's biggest Omnisport conversation right now. WhatsApp us +27 788 777716.
The Springboks are playing Scotland this weekend in the first of 3 major test matches in the Autumn Nation Series. Iconic Springbok loose forward Dwayne Vermeulen, who is now an assistant coach in the box setup, spoke about the transition he's undergone from player to coach.
Yeah, the transition has actually been interesting. I actually thought it would have been a whole different thing, being a little bit closer still to the players and more difficult to start in with the coaches. But it's been actually completely the other way around. It was fantastic welcoming by the coaches and the coaching staff, and I started in quite quickly, and you learn quite a lot and you learn quickly. But also then, you're not a player, but you still know the players. But yeah, I'm really enjoying my time, learning on the trot, learning every game, and it's been a year since retirement, and in the mix with the Springboks, and yeah, I love every minute of it, and hopefully you can keep growing as a young coach, going into the game and looking further ahead into the future.
I mean, I can't think of a better guy to be around the Springboks setup.
But is everyone in transition? He's transitioning to be a coach. The team's in transition to become a better team. When do teams transition to become crap teams? When does a team become complete? When does the team reach its end point? Everything's always in transition. I'm getting a bit annoyed with the word development, and we're still a team in formation.
Yeah.
It's getting on my nerves at the moment. You're a team. You play in the moment.
Sure.
That's what you do.
Yeah. Well, Dwayne Vermeulen was also asked exactly that question about, because the Scotland coach Gregor Townsend, he said their playing philosophy, the Springboks, is transitioning, and and he said it's a change in philosophy which the Boks might be taking on with the new coaching staff.
Maybe in a sense, if you look at the game, how we changed. Obviously, Scotland changed also quite a bit. So we got in different coaches. We got in Tony Brown. We got in Jerry Flannery. Brings a different flavour to the game, and they both bring their own attributes to the squad and their own strengths. So I think we also developing as a team, and it's not always the same picture that you will get from the past couple of seasons. So we're also in a bit of a transition, and I think it's the same with the Scottish team. If you look back, if you look at a Scotland team, they always tend to run the ball, and I'm not saying they're not doing that, but the tactical game has been a bit of a focus for them, and I think that's the thing they really worked on, and they're doing it well. So everyone's striving to get the complete game, and if you get the right guys in, and hopefully you can succeed.
There you have it. Developing, transitioning. He said all of your key words there.
Yeah, the key attribute to professional sportsmen is adaptability. And you adapt to conditions, you adapt to the other team, you adapt to new coaches. And if you're not adapting, then you're a player who's stubborn and doesn't see himself as a professional.
Tell me this, though. Rugby is a bit unique, is that it doesn't really have club rugby. Like, as much as people watch URC, like we all know, you're just filling the time until we watch test match rugby. It's the opposite of football, right? In football, like, international football's a nightmare. Can we just have the club stuff? Rugby only is important every 4 years. So I would imagine they use these terms a lot. And maybe I'm wrong. I mean, some people, as you say, love to live in the moment. 07777716. I think it's a really interesting thing that you said there, because as far as I'm concerned, I would not give a crap if the Springboks lost 50 test matches, but then got to the William Webb Ellis and won. I would genuinely take that. I mean, it would obviously be annoying because, being in South Africa, the Springboks have a different context. It's a challenging time in South Africa. I mean, it's just a challenging country to live in. So the Springboks provide hope. But I feel like just win the William Webb Ellis. I really don't care what happens in between.
Yeah, I mean, South Africa was very far away from being the favourite for the 2019 World Cup. We came in there cold. Rassie Erasmus was basically shoehorning people into positions, trying to get things right, getting systems right, trying to create belief. And he did that through making Siya Kolisi captain. But we didn't go in there like we were going to win it. And we went in there like we were going to maybe make the final at a push, maybe semi-finals, maybe the bronze medal. And every game they just grew in confidence. So yeah, the World Cup is the biggest thing in world rugby. There's no doubt. It's the pinnacle. But then the Rugby Championship's important. Beating the All Blacks is important. Yeah,
fair enough. I mean, that's what I love about sport. We all have that differing view, and it matters. I heard a great saying about sport is that of all the things that matter the least, football matters the most, and then obviously you might say rugby and all of these things, and I couldn't agree more. Right, with Scotland hammering Fiji last week and the Glasgow Warriors being defending URC champions, Dwayne was also asked if this Scotland team was better than the one that the Boks faced in France last year at the World Cup.
Well, possibly. I can't tell you that. Only Sunday will tell. But they're definitely going to be up for it. It's a home match, and it's home ground in front of their people. It's not playing in a neutral stadium. So obviously you would like to be up for it when you play at home, and you've got that pride within you. So obviously there's a couple of guys that got brought into the squad, and they've been playing well, and obviously at their franchise level, if you look back at last year's champions, it's Glasgow, so they're definitely doing something right over here in Scotland, and we need to be wary of what we're going to get on Sunday.
They're going to hammer them.
I hope they are. I don't know if they will, but it'll be closer than we think. But I don't know if they'll hammer them on a Sunday. It's a strange time to play rugby. It's probably the first Springbok test I can remember on a Sunday for many, many years, if at all. Because there used to be a thing in South Africa that you weren't even allowed to dance on a Sunday, never mind watch TV and play sport.
Yeah, all right. Up in Scotland, who knows? Maybe Scotland are transitioning and developing, as Kevin loves to hear them say. But a story that I've loved, I mean, the Nortje, again, here's another family coming to the forefront, right? There's another Nortje now in the side. Due to injuries, Bolzolaka Ruan Nortje is now the man at the very forefront of the box second row. And he spoke about what it means to him to have the opportunity to play in the green and gold.
Yeah, no, obviously South Africa is a place where locks are breed. So I always know it's a tough position to be in. But look, that's an awesome challenge, and it's obviously something I've been dreaming of since a boy. And in my wildest dreams, I wouldn't even thought I would be here where I am today. But that just shows you the hard work can pay off. And yeah, I'm just privileged to be where I am. And I was just blessed with opportunities to be in this position. And yeah, for me, it's all about every opportunity I have to wear the Springbok jersey. I have to wear it as if it's my last time, because we know there's so much quality players, and then any time can be your last time. So I think for me it's just embracing each opportunity I have, and yeah, just all about representing my country and enjoying representing them.
It's what you want to hear.
Yeah. There's a thing about Springboks that they hedge their bets at a press conference, because the first words out of their mouth are yeah, no, and then obviously, or yeah, no, definitely, as Bucky's Bertie used to say. So they're hedging their bets. And they need some media training. But as he said, South Africa is where blocks are bred. We are just a breeding ground. There was a guy called Jed Thine, a New Zealand rugby commentator, used to call us the meat eaters because we're so big.
Yeah.
And we just eat meat. That's it.
The Aussies, Kearnsey and them, before rugby commentary went to the toilet, because they went all politically correct, they used to go, Bornwell meat was cheap in Africa. And remember, we just used to have like Richard Bands and just like massive props, and then like Victor Matfield and Bucky's. I love it. We keep producing him. Some quick news though. Breaking news. According to multiple reports, top international rugby players could sign huge deals to play in what is being described as rugby's version of the IPL in the USA in 2026. South Africa's leading rugby agents have signed contracts with the unnamed organizers as talks ramp up. Problems here, but I've always thought, kind of like Live Golf, I've always seen a gap in rugby. I think rugby players are the most underpaid sportsmen in the world. It is such a brutal sport. You look at what the NFL guys get paid. Now, obviously, NFL, it's a whole different thing. It's got a 300 million sort of capacity in terms of viewership, 300 million people in America. But rugby players are grossly underpaid for what they do. I guess the market forces are what they are. But I've seen this gap coming for a long time. And I think if the Americans get a hold of rugby, I can, great, finally pay the players properly. I'd love this.
Let's see if they have the money. That is the biggest issue for me. We had this situation in 95. We forgot rugby was amateur until 94, 95 after the Rugby World Cup, whenever they announced it. So instead of little brown envelopes with the guys getting paid under their doors, everyone was getting paid on the side. I mean, Louis Late was infamous for paying the guys cash to play games. Or they got jobs somewhere, they did something. And whenever that amateur ethos went and professional came in, then the Australians came in. And there was going to be the World Rugby Championship, which was going to be backed by Kerry Packer. As Ross Turnbull was the guy who was going to be in charge of it. They'd approached Springboks. There were most of the Springboks from 95 had signed contracts. They were all in safes. The only person who didn't sign, apparently, was Chester Williams. And they were going to pay them big money. And that's why they had to come in. And most of the Springboks were getting paid 900,000 Rand a season then. So there's big money then, but that money's now gone down as there's more and more players.
Yeah, no, it's true that the pot has more fingers in the cookie jar. Well said. Francois Pienaar, by the way, first professional rugby player to ever sign, rumored to have signed that in London. Quite a story if you've read about that. So quite something there. Oh my God, could we have the IPL version of rugby? I would love it because I cannot stand World Rugby. I cannot stand Bill Beaumont. I cannot stand these bloody guys in ties, these nerds in bloody London somewhere, trying to ruin this great game. So, oh my goodness, if the Americans get them dollars in the pockets of players, I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Tell you what Ruan Nokia is having. By the way, if you haven't met him, house of a man. He's clearly on some AGT foods. I'm telling you that because it is game on with AGT Foods natural superfoods. Our beans and pulses provide the fuel you need to keep moving. Power your passion with every bite. Brought to you by AGT Foods Africa. Good food, good health, good life. And our question of the day, which clubs did Leverkusen manager Xabi Alonso play for in his senior club career? We'll answer that question at the end of the show. Coming up, football news. Oh my goodness, it's all happening in the Champions League.
Omnisport Africa, the ultimate African sports audio channel. On your phone. On your phone. Data free on the MTN network in South Africa. T's and C's apply at Omnisport Africa on social and online at omniaudio.africa. When Brad Jakes speaks,
the fans do not feel the consequences of their actions because the clubs always pay.
Africa listens.
A win is a win, especially in cup competitions.
Inside SA Soccer, weekdays at 8 a.m. on Omnisport Africa. On your phone and at omniaudio.africa.
There's no mercy in countries like Morocco, Iran, even Tanzania.
Inside SA Soccer. On Omnisport at omniaudio.africa and streaming data free on the MTN network in South Africa. T's and C's apply.
Strength starts with smart choices. Add AGT Foods barley and split peas to your diet for essential nutrients that support muscle recovery. Train hard, recover harder. Brought to you by AGT Foods Africa. Good food, good health, good life.
Get on the air and join Africa's biggest Omnisport conversation right now. WhatsApp us +27 788 777716.
Just before we get to the Champions, just had to get this one in here. Orlando Pirates 1-0. They win. They go top of the table. No matter what Sundowns do tonight, Pirates will stay top of the league.
Yeah, I mean, did you buy your Orlando Pirates fan last night? We're going to win the league. We're going to win the league. We're going to win the league.
It's going to happen. It's written in the stars. It's written in the stars. It is going to happen. Sundowns going to lose tonight, and then Pirates will probably... By the way, it's the greatest start Pirates have had to the PSL. 7 wins in a row.
That's incredible. Evidence McCallum was in great form last night. He's been a revelation this season.
He has.
Yeah, been excellent. Best name in PSL at the moment.
Yeah, Evidence is one of those great names that... he should have been a lawyer. He has to be a lawyer because, present the evidence. I'm here already. You know, it would be amazing.
Yeah, Your Honor, we have we'd like to put into evidence, and he's Exhibit 1.
That would be absolutely awesome. I'll tell you what else is awesome is if you're Kevin McCallum and the likes, it was last night, it was a dream. You've got one of the best players to ever play in the, certainly for me, I think he's the greatest midfielder I saw in this last generation. Xabi Alonso, the greatest passer of football I've ever seen, as much as it pains me. He returned last night. Amazing ovation from what I saw on social media that he got, quite rightly an icon of at Anfield. They lost 4-0 though, so even better. So it's like, okay, Xabi, great to have you back. Let's give you a beat down. Why didn't you come as the manager? 4-0. Diaz gets a hat-trick. Gakpo gets one. Virgil van Dijk spoke about how he sees the side as performing well, but still a work in progress.
We try to solve it obviously on the pitch as well when we can. It doesn't always go perfect like we obviously see in so many games this year, but the good thing is that and you mentioned that yesterday I think as well, that we are willing to make sure that we defend together. So if they beat the press, we are sprinting back in order to not conceding any unnecessary chances or crosses in or whatever. But there are also so many things and so many moments in games that we are doing it very well. And like I said, I think so far so good in terms of results. But we all realize as well that we can improve, and where we are right now and still being able to improve, I think it's only a positive thing, and it's on us to keep doing it.
One of the biggest fallacies in the world is, I'm sure you've heard this a lot, or my parents used to say it all the time, it's the copy is never as good as the original. Well, it actually turns out it's the other way around. Usually when you copy something, you perfect it because you eke out the errors from before. I think Liverpool might be better now than under Klopp. I know it's very difficult for Liverpool fans to hear, but because Arne's got that rigidity, the heavy metal, he's actually just turning the heavy metal down to pop music. It's like, oh, let's also defend.
Yeah.
And he's got great defensive rigidity. On the eye, it's not as easy because it's slightly more pragmatic, but Liverpool look more in control now more than ever.
Yeah, they become a team of two halves for me. They did this last night as well. First half was a bit average. Second half, they just shift up the gears, and Leverkusen couldn't live with them. They had to book their goalkeeper, for Leverkusen's goalkeeper, for time wasting. He was being a bit blatant. Jeremy Frimpong took a dive in the box. But then Luis Diaz, on for the first time, starting the central defender in place of Nunes, he was outstanding. He was just extraordinary. His first little goal, that little dink, Gakpo. And Gakpo is the biggest difference for me and Curtis Jones under Slot, because he's given them their leash, and off you go. Let's set free the dogs of war and all that.
Set free the dogs of war, indeed. I mean, 4-0 is an absolute hammering against a team that, remember, didn't lose a game in the Bundesliga last season. So serious stuff. Tell you what you must like as a Liverpool fan. The one thing you must have been worried about is, as Mo Salah goes out the door, how do we replace the goals? Forget about how good Mo Salah is. If Luis Diaz can take over that, oh my God.
I really hope Mo doesn't go. It'd be such a waste. Mo won't go. Don't go, Mo.
Don't go, Mo, they say. I'll tell you where they say don't go as well. Kylian, don't go. Don't go on the field is what they're saying in Real Madrid, the capital of Spain. Thiago, Morata and Reinders scored 3 for AC Milan. Vinicius got the pen. But at Real Madrid, oh my goodness, they said Olympus has fallen in India. What is going on at Real Madrid? 3-1 loss at home against AC Milan. Carlo Ancelotti coming out and saying, listen, they're going to have to go look in the mirror, players and managers. Ugh.
Wasn't that long ago? They lost 4-0 to Barcelona. They are in trouble. They are in big trouble. Kylian Mbappe just is not fitting into the system. Huge waste of money. I think he should go back to PSG and just be a big fish in a little pond.
Problem is, he sued them for 55 million euros and won. I can't imagine the Qataris, who are emirs and actually have a caste system that dates back to about 3,000 years ago, would welcome him back with open arms. So Kylian Mbappe, hey, listen, you made your bed. You know what's the old adage? It's a lot easier to cry in your silk sheets than under a bridge. So Kylian Mbappe is having a tough time, but you know he just got 55 million euros for doing absolutely nothing, and then he's moved to Real Madrid, where he got 120 million euros just to sign. I think he's doing fine.
Milan are supposed to be a team in trouble.
In transition. They're developing. They're developing, Kevin.
I know, Christian Pulisic looked great. I'm getting annoyed with this. You're a team. Play in the moment. You can't develop the rest of your life. I mean, people keep saying to me, Kevin, are you growing as a person? I can't grow anymore.
Yeah.
I'm in my 50s. I don't know. I'm finished. I'm at my peak.
Yes.
I was at my peak about 20 years ago.
Yes, I'm on the other side. Just be who you are, damn it. I hear you, Kev. No, but you are right. I mean, listen, for AC Milan, aside, they aren't the AC Milan of Carlo Ancelotti's time. You remember when he had Shevchenko and Inzaghi and Cafu and Maldini and Nesta? They don't have that anymore. They certainly aren't that team. For Real Madrid to take 3 at home, no. Something is amiss. And the Kylian Mbappe thing, we've discussed it before. If you're just joining us, we're discussing the football results from the Champions League, European Champions League last night. It's a problem because if there's one thing I love saying, is I told you so. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I know people say you shouldn't say that. No. I love saying I told you. It's one of my favorite things in the world. When they signed Mbappe, I was like, you already have Vinicius.
Mm-hmm.
Like, on the left wing, you've already got, for me, 3 years ago, Vinicius, I was like, oh, no, wait, this is the guy. But you've also got Rodrigo, by the way, who's still to come back. And now you've got Valverde. Not sure if you saw his girlfriend coming out and saying he's not a winger. Carlo Ancelotti is not impressed about someone's girlfriend. Yeah. So Valverde's girlfriend.
She was talking about football, wasn't she?
She was talking about, the winger comment was absolutely about football.
Okay.
Carlo Ancelotti not happy about that, saying, I did not see what's going on social media. You can be sure Valverde is going to have a word with the man with the people's eye. But it's a problem for Kylian Mbappe because he's not a striker. And especially when you've got someone dominant like Vinicius, I'm telling you, I know footballers. I lived this life for 7 years at the professional level. Is that they won't say it out loud. The ego on both of them, I guarantee you, is so enormous because Vinicius is the star of Brazil. Not, with all due respect, he's not like a South African star who's relevant just here. Brazil are the team. Like today, still to this day, I think young people run around. I certainly used to run around. I wanted to be Rivaldo. I wanted to be R9 Ronaldo. I had every. As soon as they released the R9 boots, I went and got them. Like, and I'm a Copa Mundial guy, all Adidas. But if those Nikes came out, I had those blue ones, those famous ones with the blue slits. I want to be a Brazilian. There's no way Vinicius is accepting Kylian Mbappe as the next guy. And by the way, for footballers, there's only one measurement: money. There's money. These guys don't care about anything else but money. And Vinicius can see how much this guy's getting. It will be interesting to see how Ancelotti handles this one, because if there's one guy I think who can handle it, it's him. But let's see.
Yeah.
Muchos problemas, as they say in Spain. Let's move over to another Spanish guy who's having problems. We'll start off with following back-to-back losses against Spurs, Bournemouth, and now Sporting. Man City midfielder Bernardo Silva believes they must get back on track, and there are absolutely no excuses.
They won all the duels, they put more determination, they were better in all the departments, so that's the way that we have to deal with it. Each one of us individually, we have to take a look at it, at ourselves, and be ready for the games. Try to, the injured players try to come back as possible. With the full squad, we're stronger, but that's no excuse, because with the players that we have in our squad, we should do much better than we did in our last game, and perform better individually in every action, be ready for the games, and start winning again, because this club, the standards that we set over the last few years, demands that we start winning again and again and again.
Are they unraveling a little bit?
Very much so. They don't have any players in depth at the moment. They're struggling. He's talking about NBA type schedules. He's struggling with that. They are making excuses. Kevin De Bruyne needs to come back ASAP. Rodri's not going to be back for a while. They're in trouble.
Bernardo Silva said that they are in a dark place. Pep Guardiola said he does not think they're in a dark place. Here's what Pep had to say.
Don't regret we cannot concede the third or fourth. You have to, it's not necessary, the penalties. I would say, we cannot start the second half scoring goal. Yeah, it can happen. They do the good action, can happen, but 44 minutes or 47 minutes left. And emotionally, we were in that position stable. I think we make a really good first half against a top team. We were close to score the second, the third, and emotion is difficult when we play the first half that we played, and after 2 minutes, second half, we are losing 3-1. It's not easy to swallow, but it's an experience, and I'm here. So it's a big challenge, and we knew that will be a tough season for a start. We know it. We talk about that for many reasons, but this is what it is. I like it. I love it. I want to face it and lift my players and try it.
Sexy voice.
It is. Pep's.
I want it. I love it.
I love it. I want to try it. That's what Pep Guardiola says. All right, let's move over to the very same game, but let's move over to the other side. You just heard Bernardo Silva, Portuguese man speaking English. Well, Sporting manager Ruben Amorim got a little taste of what it might be like as a foreigner in England with the British media.
For all people who are going to be watching this game interested in Manchester City, in Sporting and in Manchester United. One answer in English.
You'll have time you'll have time to hear Ruben speaking English. Now it's time for him to speak.
Have Manchester United asked you not to speak in English?
No.
I wondered if you were aware that obviously to win tomorrow night will be brilliant for your current club, but also brilliant for your new club. You could be a hero even before you get on a plane to Manchester. Has that crossed your mind? In English, please.
Sorry, I cannot speak in English now.
Why?
Sorry.
Why?
Sorry. They will miss me in Portuguese, so I have to speak Portuguese.
They've had about 25 minutes in Portuguese.
I know.
We want 10 seconds in English.
We'll proceed in Portuguese. Next week, you can hear him talking English. Okay.
Yes. More basic English.
It's like a cold shoulder to all your English fans.
Sorry.
That was Gary Cottrell, who was famous for, he's on Sky Sports, but remember the very awkward interaction he had with Eric Ten Hag as well, as he was walking. I think it was a Stoke City. I can't remember where it was. So, hey, listen, Ruben Amorim, I've been told by someone very wise, is people always show you who they are. Believe them the first time. The British media is this. Gary Cottrell, who is one of the main reporters, this is what he does. So if he wants to know what it's going to be like in England, by the way, this is what it's like when you've won. Imagine when you lose at Manchester United. Ruben Amorim gets a taste of things to come at Manchester United. Another club in trouble, tumultuous, Kaizer Chiefs. We have a former star who played for not only Mamelodi Sundowns, but Kaizer Chiefs as well. He was a star for both. Jos Tahlahla will join us in 60 seconds.
Omnisport Africa, the ultimate African sports audio channel. On your phone. Data free on the MTN network in South Africa. T's and C's apply at Omnisport Africa. Audio.Africa. You've seen the TV show. Now, get the Disky TV radio show on your phone. Data free on the MTN network in South Africa. T's and C's apply and online at omniaudio.africa.
To 6 points, but we'll see tonight. Richards Bay are struggling to score a goal. In 6 matches, they've scored just 1 goal in 6 matches.
When Nkululeko, Benedict Villikasi, and Lingo Pep huddle.
AC, because of their dip in form, not necessarily just form, but their dip generally as a big club and losing. I think you lose your status as a big club the more you don't make money and you don't buy big players and you don't win Champions League.
Anything will happen.
And what if they fire him and then tomorrow there's another coach who loses, and then what are you going to do? Burn the stadium again?
The Disky TV radio show. Live every weekday on Omnisport Africa. On your phone and all over the continent at omniaudio.africa.
Elevate your performance with the goodness of whole grains. AGT Foods quinoa and bulgur wheat deliver sustained energy for every workout. Stay fit, stay healthy. Brought to you by AGT Foods Africa. Good food, good health, good life.
Get on the air and join Africa's biggest Omnisport conversation right now. WhatsApp us +27 788 777716.
We're about to get on the line with Jos Tahlahla, who played for Kaizer Chiefs and Mamelodi Sundowns. I tell you what is doing the rounds at the moment, Kev, is it's been a decade now without a major trophy. I mean, how's it gone this wrong for Kaizer Chiefs? It's not a shortage of resources.
Yeah, so I see that Duma has got an interview with the Kaizer Chiefs pitch invader who got into trouble and got Chiefs into so much trouble. We'll get them into trouble at the FNB Stadium. And he came out of the Boyson's police station. They interviewed him. 42 years old. He's from Ugis in Mpumalanga. He's a father of 6. He works at a mine in Mpumalanga. Said, I would like to apologize to everyone in football for my actions, and I fully regret what I did. Yes, Kaizer Chiefs can sometimes disappoint us as fans, but the fact of the matter is that I'm not the only one who is disappointed by the team. Almost half the country gets disappointed when the team's not doing well on the field. Blah, 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 blah. We hate Pirates, blah, 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 blah. He's been advised by his legal team not to give out his real name. This is the frustration of a fan.
Yeah.
But the frustration shouldn't spill over onto the field. It shouldn't spill into missile throwing. Pirates have just been done 50,000 Rand or 100,000 rand, 50,000 suspended for their missile throwing. It just needs to back off.
Also, not good as a man who lived in Uwagis, by the way, for the first 6 years of my life, because my father worked on that very coal mine. Going down the mine, my old man, getting dirty down there. So I lived in the mine manager's house in Uwagis for 6 years. I was born in Witbank, or Emalacheni, and then lived in Uwagis. So he's not representing a community I was a part of for 6 years.
You're born in White Bank.
Witbank. We don't translate it. It is what it is. It's Witbank.
The best thing about Witbank is 100 k's from Joburg.
They say the best thing about living in Witbank or being in Witbank is leaving Witbank.
Yeah, it's N12 out of there.
Absolutely. Do you know, I haven't been back since I was actually a child. I've never ever gone back. I've never seen any reason. And that's why that bloody Yobbo who's losing for Kaizer Chiefs and still unable to hold it together. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah, you can't be doing that. And as a Kaizer Chiefs fan, tough times never last. As well, everyone's also saying, the one thing I saw, and I think you said it just now in terms of the transitioning and developing, everyone's saying Chiefs are too young, Chiefs are too this. Were they not too young 10 years ago? Do you know it's going to be 10 years without a trophy? At some level, that has to be unacceptable for Kaizer Chiefs. Because Sundowns have only really been what they are for 7 years, 7 years. We're 10 years into... They're definitely going to be 11 years because they aren't going to win it next year. It'll be Sundowns Pirates again. The kids need to take more responsibility here because Kaiser's 82? We were celebrating his 82nd birthday the other day. He can't put as much energy as he used to into it. And my thing is, what must be driving people crazy? It's not a shortage of resources. It's a different story if you're like Polokwane City and you can't spend 5-6 million rand on players. Kaizer Chiefs are not short of resources. That is not the problem. What it tells me is what's going on upstairs.
Yeah, so Sky News did a big thing on Ineos and focusing on Nice, not on Manchester United and the management of them. And players, they've been taking managers in and out for the last 6, 7, 8 years. And guys don't last more than 2 years under the Ineos project. And you need more than 2 years. And you need to get the right director of football in. You need to get the right person who's in charge of buying the players, who's in charge of making the training ground work, who's in charge of making the media almost like you and respect you.
Yeah.
And they don't have that. What they've got is a bunch of arrogant kids who are working for their daddy.
No, that's exactly... Yeah. And I mean, that puts you in a precarious position because it's kind of like what's happening in America with the Dallas Cowboys is Jerry Jones just will not let go of the football club and let other people run. And ultimately, the world's too smart now. Like, it's too developed. There's too many smart people. Sundowns there's always someone wealthier than you. Now Sundowns have more money, which means what? They can attract the best brains, the best coaches. Obviously, if you haven't gone and seen what the Motsepes are doing in terms of the training center out there, it's just creme de la creme.
Where is that?
So they've got it in Mamelodi actually. So he's refused to move the club. Everyone wants them to play at Loftus. He's refused to move them, and he's developing in the Mamelodi area. Their training facility it's about as good as anything I remember in Europe. It is. It's proper. It's Paka, and he really looks after his guys. And they might be the only team in the world with 3 head coaches, by the way.
Is Steve Capella still hanging around there somewhere?
Have you not heard his philosophical ramblings? No, he's been fully at it. We had him. Didn't we play it on the show? I think Brad Jakes had it where they were talking about before the cup final, where he was talking about making a cup of tea or whatever it is. I didn't know what he was on about. But Steve Capella, still, please, he's a national treasure. We've got to protect old Steve there. So something that's happening with Sundowns as well, which I said Pirates are going to win the league, but Sundowns came in. Shalule wasn't fit coming to the season, and now he started to come to the season, and now they're starting to score goals. It is becoming very, very worrying because they banged 3 in the previous league game, 4 now in this last cup game. Get out. I hate it. I hate what Sundowns are becoming, and now they're fit. I don't know if anyone can hold them off. It's nice for Pirates to start well.
Yeah.
They've got 2 teams they can just rotate in. 2 full teams. That's concerning for me as a Pirates fan. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, there's a piece in Times Live today talking about how the Brazilians are starting to purr. And because they're starting to score more goals, they're starting to get a bit more consistency. Polokwane City tonight will be a tough game for them. I don't think they're going to lose to Polokwane City. They're just looking incredibly composed and calm. They've done this before. See, winning begets winning. Losing begets losing, as Chiefs have found out. You get into the winning momentum. And that's what develops a team. If you're going to develop a team where it's in transition, you transition from losers to winners. That's your transition. That's your job.
That's great. Winning does beget winning. I mean, they are they're going for 8 titles in a row. They're like turning into Bayern Munich here.
Yeah, but not quite. There is a way of not liking them because they are buying their titles in a sense, but then they also took a lot of time, a lot of sacrifice at the beginning. There was a lot of money thrown in. And I think it was Mbulelo Thinta said he basically created an expensive mess at the beginning. They were just buying and dropping people in, which is what Manchester United have done.
Yeah.
And Chiefs to an extent as well. So you can't just throw. So there's expensive muddle, there's confusion, there's lack of trust and a lack of confidence. And so if you're going to transition anything, transition people's heads. Just get their heads right and make them believe. That's transitioning.
I think you said it earlier this week was about Pizzo, right? Pizzo came in, as you said brilliantly, was that at the beginning it was just, he turned them from a spaza shop really into a listed company because they were run like a spaza shop at the beginning. It was just buy all ingredients, the shelves weren't there. But Pizzo came and he organized everything. Yeah. And he got rid of guys that weren't about the culture. And then under Pizzo, and that was only really 3 years into their ownership, under Pizzo, they went, like you say, from these golden boys to a football winning machine. And that's what Pizzo does. I think a lot of people see Pizzo being jovial out here. I know guys who played under Pizzo. They say he is unrelenting. Like Pizzo has always been, as a player, he was a tough player. If you remember him as a player, hell of a tough player. But they say as a coach, he is absolutely unrelenting. He does not give players an inch, and that's why he's been one of the top in Africa for the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, I think David Legg, the AFP journalist and sports editor, former sports editor of The Star, was speaking to Machalani, Baby Jakes, Bra Jakes. Sorry, I've known Jakes for 26, 27 years, and he was Baby Jakes at the office, and then became Bra Jakes. And then I started calling him Machalani because I had about 15 different numbers for him because he kept changing his number. But he had David Legg on his show the other day, and David Legg said the same thing about Pizzo. Pizzo came in and organized that expensive mess.
Yeah.
Made it still expensive, but not a mess. It became an expensive winning machine.
They are an expensive winning machine. The other part of having resources is, in the corporate world, they have a language. It's called remuneration. And whoever gets paid the most has the most expectations. The one thing Coach Manqoba, I think, is going to learn for the first time, he may have wanted the job, right? Of course, and rightly, who wouldn't want to? Coach Manqoba has been a staple in South African football for so long. And I think if there's one guy who's done it the right way, I've never heard a scandal about Coach Manqoba. I've never heard him doing this, doing that. You've never heard players coming out against him, unless I've missed it. He's been one of these guys that are just super high character, and his success has come late in life. Some people, especially in today's age, we want that sort of microwave lifestyle of I want the success now. Coach Manqoba has certainly done it the right way. However, he's here now. What would be success for him this year? Because I keep hearing Sundowns winning the league is a given. I think the African Champions League is a must. If he doesn't at least get to a semi-final, I think Mr. Motsepe's... sorry, you can't say Patrice. The young Motsepe, Tori will call him in the office and go, take a seat here. Listen, it's been a pleasure, but I'm afraid not.
He's in a Pep Guardiola type situation, isn't he, with Manchester City, where they're throwing all these expenses and resources at him, and he needs to start delivering not just on the PSL is almost like small change for them now. The Champions League is the big thing, go to Africa, dominate Africa. Unlike Chiefs, as we said to your friend yesterday, Larry, they don't need a free holiday in Tanzania to get into Africa.
No, it's true. I mean, I love what I'm seeing. The one benefit of having a team like this, and we saw it with Barcelona for Spain, I think that we saw. And then with Bayern Munich, it's why Germany are always so consistent. People say, you don't want a dominant team. Well, actually, it turns out you do, because when you have a dominant team, it affects the international team very well because you can build the core of that. And you saw it obviously with what the Catalans did for the Spanish team, and then you've seen it with Germany. I mean, Bayern Munich are always so consistent. Germany always in the semi-final of the World Cup. Bafana Bafana have become good now, and it's like, 8 or 9 Sundowns players because they all play together and they are playing to a high standard. So, listen, people say they don't want dynasties. People love dynasties. They just don't want the dynasty not to be their team. But ultimately, I think it's been great for Bafana. You have to be honest.
Yeah, and it's great to see dynasties come down after a while, as Liverpool's did, as United's has done, as possibly, please God willing, Manchester City's is doing right now. Because Chiefs have come down for the last 10 years. They're in the same situation as United. The only way United are going to get into Europe is by booking a holiday to Ibiza.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Get off to the Canary Islands and then off to, they love Mallorca, don't they? They love down Mallorca. Very sunny in Spain. Very sunny in Spain, that. All right, that is the way it's going to go. We'll see what we can do about getting Josta on maybe later this week. But hell of a thing. If you are a football fan in South Africa, what is it that you think Kaizer Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns will do this season? And can Pirates stop this juggernaut? Because that is simply what they are. They are an absolute juggernaut. Listen, I have a soft spot in my heart for Sundowns, but obviously as an Orlando Pirates fan, we need to see them get absolutely smashed. All right, in 60 seconds, we know what's going on around the world at the moment. Everybody's eyes are focused on the USA. We break down a complicated topic in 5 minutes. And yes, it's football, but Donald Trump is involved.
Omnisport Africa, the ultimate African sports audio channel. On your phone. On your phone. Data free on the MTN network in South Africa. T's and C's apply at Omnisport Africa on social and online at omniaudio.africa. Think you know African football?
I thought it was breathtaking watching some of the things United did in that first half.
Then get to know Ona Kosi.
But after the initial surge, they plateau a bit. That often leads to the firing of the manager subsequently, and then the hiring of another, and then the bounce kicks in again. Quite funny.
Omnisport Africa's premier football show. The world's premier football leagues. Explored.
Without Erik ten Hag, Van Nistelrooy is not at United today.
Monday to Friday, live at omniaudio.africa and streaming data-free on your phone on the MTN network in South Africa. T's and C's apply.
Fuel your game with the right nutrition, packed with protein and fiber. AGT Foods lentils and chickpeas are your perfect power source. Eat clean, play strong. Brought to you by AGT Foods Africa. Good food, good health, good life.
Get on the air and join Africa's biggest Omnisport conversation right now. WhatsApp us +27 788 777716.
Right, we're going to break down a complicated topic in a few minutes here. We've titled this one, Kevin's Believe It or Not. This may be the weirdest story I have ever heard. The question here is, how did Donald Trump help Manchester United win the League Cup? There's some conspiracy theory here.
We go back. We go way, way back to a time before sight and sound. The year is 1991. George Bush Jr. is president. The Soviet Union dissolves. Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls win the first NBA championship. Nirvana release Smells Like Teen Spirit. Magic Johnson announces he has HIV. In London, so there's a guy called Ian St. John there, and a Scotland star, Liverpool star from the 60s. He's hosting a show with a guy called Jimmy Greaves, the 1966 World Cup winner. Spurs and Chelsea legend, also played for AC Milan. They've got a show called Saint and Greavesy, which is the biggest football show in the UK at the time. It had audience of almost 6 million viewers on a Saturday lunchtime. So the League Cup draw takes place every week or every time they go to another round on their show. But because they're going to be in the League New York for the 1994 World Cup draw, the ITV or the broadcaster in England said they can do the league draw also in New York. So where are they going to shoot the draw? What place would be cool? And they're walking down, filming a sequence, walking down Fifth Avenue, and then they got to Trump Tower, and Ian St. John looked up at the building and said, I wonder if Donald Trump is in today, and whether he'd let us do the draw here. And Greavy's response, well, we'll never know unless we ask. And the Trump secretary, who was English, saw them in the lobby because they'd knocked on the door, walked into the lobby, went over, she recognized them from the show. The show's producer, Bob Patience, actually, we should change Mdu's surname to Patience, Mdu Patience, because he's got a lot of patience. He asked Trump if he would take part in the draw. Minutes later, they're in a boardroom on the 58th floor of the Trump. David Dent, the secretary of the Football League, was with them for the draw. The fourth and final tie when Leeds were drawn at home and the only remaining ball belonged to Manchester United. So it pitched these two fierce rivals together who were competing for the first division title at the time. The draw, you had Ian St. John, like a Liverpool Scottish legend. He goes, oh, Donald, and Greavesy said, Trump, you don't realise what you've done, he told him. And Donald Trump hadn't got a clue what he was doing. He didn't know any of this team. He said, that's a biggie, Trump replied, and he was talking about the tie, obviously not about his hands. So he perhaps sensed that something exciting had happened. He said, that sounds like the game I want to go to. Never went to it, obviously. So the rest is history. Alex Ferguson's team won 3-1 at Ellen Road, knocked out Middlesbrough in the semi-finals and beat Forest at Wembley. One of Fergie's big titles. And to thank Trump, I mean, this is the best thing ever. Jimmy gave him a St. and Greavesy mug. So from the show, and there's a picture of the two of them on the front of the mug. And it says, football's a funny game, funny old game. And the final flourish, I mean, Greaves basically reaches from behind his seat, grinning with delight, pulls out a souvenir gift from behind his chair. This is the most prestigious award in footballing history, he tells Trump. When you pour your hot coffee in it, it's got funny old game on it. On the side, President Bush and Frank Sinatra haven't got one of these, he tells him.
That's great.
And that's how Donald Trump helped Manchester United win the 1991 League Cup final.
You couldn't have wished for a bigger showman. I mean, he might be the biggest showman in the world. So for them to get that, and you know, I've watched the clip. You know, you see Donald Trump. He's such a showman. Like, he gets it. He doesn't know what's going on. But obviously, when Greavesy says to him, "You don't know what you've done," like, he feels it. You couldn't wish for a better guy. Now, I mean, no matter what you think of him, if you're able to put it aside for a second, that was like just television gold. You know, to by mistake run into Trump and then have him there for the draw, and then of course he's going to do it.
And the draw was so understated, and Trump was a little bit understated because he wasn't as pomp and splendor then. He had the big gold Trump Tower, gold toilets, gold lifts, but he wasn't. His hair was a different color. It wasn't as blonde as it is now. It is still the same style. He wasn't as orange as he is now. He wasn't. There's a great joke. I've got to read this joke. Steve Jobs would have been a better president than Trump, but I guess comparing apples to oranges is unfair.
That's good. That is good. That is good.
But the way the draw was done, so you look at the way it's done now, the superstars on stage, they got 15 balls, they got Mariah Carey or singing a song, or somebody singing a song. Shakira probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always Shakira.
It is always Shakira.
You shag one football player, you get to go on every show for football for the rest of your life.
And then you got to get divorced, and then everyone feels sorry for you.
And then you pay the taxman the money you owe him.
Exactly. Well, not in Spain. You don't have to in Spain. They do. Well, they do not pay taxes. I mean, Jose, like every player has a tax thing.
Well, she was up on tax charges after she got divorced, or
everyone in Spain. No one in Spain pays their taxes. Absolutely. Wow, that is remarkable.
So anyway, the draw was done basically out of a bag, with David Dent, the league secretary, sitting there, and Trump was pulling this number out, Ian St. John was pulling this number out, and that's how it was, like understated, but probably the best piece of television in a long time.
Man, Donald Trump went from there to being the American president, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
again,
it was downhill from there, I think.
Because I mean, we don't know what the polls are currently running. A good chance he's gone. That's how he helped Man United win the trophy, and he became the president of the world. You know who didn't know that was coming was The Simpsons. Don't know if you've seen that episode where with the Saudis. I mean, they are eerie with that stuff, right?
Yeah, they can see things coming from a while off. I mean, the least popular person or team to win anything since Donald Trump became president is Manchester United. So winning the FA Cup.
Well, that is a complicated, but that is a, believe it or not. By the way, Donald Trump helping Manchester United, ultimately saving Fergie's job, by the way, if you don't know the history there. Really, he was in big trouble. It had been 4 years since he'd done anything. And then in the fourth year, they took off. That was the year. The next year was the Premiership. And then they were off to the races, 13 Premier League titles later. That is breaking down a complicated topic in 5 minutes. My God, Donald Trump, Alex Ferguson, Man United. The great Jimmy Greaves, by the way, Chelsea. I mean, they still chant Jimmy Greaves' name at Chelsea. If you go and sit in the, I was fortunate to sit in the Matthew Harding stand for 2 years as a season ticket holder. They still, Jimmy Greaves' name, one of the only human beings in the history of football, in British history, to be beloved by both Tottenham and Chelsea. Yeah. I think there may be nobody else. There may be nobody else who holds the affection, who has a chant and a place in the hearts of football fans, because that is a bitter rivalry. If you remember when John Terry left, his famous speech was, "Lads, do one thing for me. never ever let Tottenham be better than us. That's it. And John Terry walked out. That was his retirement speech.
I felt one time I did feel sorry for Greaves. I wasn't born then. I was born a couple of years later. But Sir Alf Ramsey didn't pick him for the final in 1966. So he got injured in the quarterfinal, and Sir Alf saw that Hunt and Hurst were playing much better and picked them, and obviously history became history. And there's a great picture of Greaves sort of staring from the touchline in his suit and tie and going, could have been me, could have been him.
Could have been him, indeed. I love that. I like that one, Kev. I like that one a lot. I like that one a hell of a lot, actually. All right, speaking of football, tonight, what is on the telly? Champions League, we saw last night, was incredible. Tonight, Inter Milan play Arsenal, who are also slightly unraveling. Let's hope that they can kind of stem the tide, because Edu has left. We'll hear from Mikel Arteta tomorrow on that. He had this press conference today discussing the departure of Edu Gaspar there. Inter Milan Arsenal, good game that.
Yeah, that'll be an excellent game. My pick of the night will be an early game. The 7:45 kickoff. Club Brugge are playing Villa. And Villa are a bit up and down at the moment, and they took that 4-1 shellacking from Spurs at the weekend. And there's some other good games. Barcelona are away to Crevena. Bayern Munich hosting Benfica. Not bad at all. Feyenoord, Salzburg. Inter Milan Arsenal is obviously the pick. But it's at 10 o'clock. I mean, there's some of us have to sleep.
Yeah, at our old age. PSG Atletico Madrid is another one. A bit of a showpiece game there. Atletico Madrid, not off to the ideal start, but again, they've spent lots of money. Your favorite word again come up here. A team in transition.
I did see that Simeone's son scored for them at the weekend. So he's playing really well. Sparta Prague against Brest tonight as well, and then Stuttgart against Atalanta. I think Atalanta might take that one. Lukman is, how do we say Lukman's first name?
Ademola.
Thank you, Chisholm.
I've been practicing. It's Ademola. It's not Adamiola. It's Ademola. Let's bring it home. Big game. It's actually top of the pops here. Obviously, Pirates played yesterday, did their thing against Richards Bay. But tonight, Sundowns play Polokwane City. Sundowns sitting in second place. Polokwane in third place, by the way. And it isn't one of those, it's after 2 games. I mean, we're good. We're 7 games in now. This is like, in the English Premier League, we say about 10 games in, you know what you really are. But 7 games in lets you know that Polokwane are here to play.
Well, if Polokwane win tonight, they go above Sundowns in the league up to second. Sundowns for 15, so that's 1, 2, 3, 6. Count your fingers, count your toes. So 6 points behind Pirates. They got a game in hand. So did Polokwane City. So it's still tight. If somebody wins, if Sundowns win, they'll be 3 points behind. So
yeah,
it's still up in the air. But I mean, Chiefs have played 5. They're down in 8th, and they got 7 points. So if they win the next 2 games, 6 points, 13, they could pop up into the top. 6 or 5. Well done, Chiefs.
Imagine, I'll tell you what. So my mom is from Polokwane. Imagine if Polokwane got into the Champions League. That would be ridiculous. Because one thing you don't know, like it's becoming a bit of a like hub now. Polokwane, a few people are moving out there. So it's becoming a bit of a metropolis. I think it might become South Africa's 3rd metropolis after Johannesburg and Cape Town, to be honest with you. If they could get a Champions League team, my goodness gracious. Maybe build the airport bigger even.
Yeah, Brad Jakes lives out there, and he would say, of course, this is the home of champions.
And he's retiring into a Champions League team. It'll be hysterical. It would be absolutely hysterical, that Brad Jakes guy living in the absolute dream out there. The other big game tonight, Stellies against TS Galaxy. TS Galaxy propping up the table, but Stellies, another team, super ambitious, owned by Jan Rupert, of course, and that Remgro crew. They are, from everything I'm hearing, as you journalists always say, according to my sources down there, they're putting big money into it, and they really are creating a great development side. I mean, we saw they went and won the international tournament, youth tournament that they won, which was super, super tough. So I like that. I like that for SA football. So Stellies tonight, TS Galaxy, Sundowns, Polokwane City. Those are your PSL games on the television tonight. Let's answer the question of the day. Kev will like this one. Which clubs did Leverkusen manager Xabi Alonso play for in his senior career? Those clubs are Real Sociedad, Eibar, Liverpool, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich. Some player, some career. I mean, he's now an unbelievable manager. You know, looking at Xabi Alonso, you know what he strikes me as just a serious person. There's some people you look at and you just like, there's people that are well put together. There's people who you're like, okay. But you just look at him and you go, I wonder what his parents were like. Like, how do you get that serious and that put together and everything? Like, he's just so organized.
I just want to know how he keeps that hair.
That's what I mean.
It's incredible.
Everything about him just looks like... honestly, his parents must be the most proud people in the world. It's just like everything we told him to do, he just feels like the type of guy who did it. It's like, okay, go to bed. All right, his bed was probably already made, ready. The pillow was already... At like 6 years old, this guy just feels like he was absolutely perfect. And then he goes from player, takes 1 year off, goes to Leverkusen. They're the best, like arguably the best team in Europe. And we know what's going to come next. He's probably going to go to Real Madrid when Ancelotti leaves. And he's probably going to win like 5 Champions Leagues in a row.
I hope so. He's just the guy that got done a bit of it dirty by Rafa Benitez at Liverpool. I thought we sold him far too soon. We sold a lot of players too soon, Mascherano and a couple of others, but Alonso was the crux. He was the guy who scored us the penalty in the Champions League to bring us equal, 3-3. Yeah.
Very few players in the history of football are ubiquitously known as iconic. Like, he plays for Liverpool, Man United fans would hate him. He plays for Real Madrid, Barcelona fans would hate him. It's like Ronaldinho. Sorry, there's no choice. That's iconic. There's nobody who takes himself seriously as a sports fan. You go Xabi Alonso, icon, move on. Yeah. We're like one of the greatest of all time. Just unreal. A serious guy, love him. Real Sociedad, Eibar, Liverpool, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich. Those are the shirts that he donned. Now doing the business at Leverkusen. We have done our business for today. That is it for today's show. Join us tomorrow as we bring you the greatest of sport from Africa and around the world.
Omnisport Africa, the ultimate African sports audio channel. On your phone. On your phone. Data free on the MTN network in South Africa. T's and C's apply at Omnisport Africa on social and online at omniaudio.africa.